we are here to talk about how do I know when it's time to move on? This isn't just today going to be about how to know when it's time to move on from your current job. This is going to be useful if you just find yourself being indecisive in general. There's going to be tons of takeaways. We're just going to go deep in this one particular example. If you find that you have this tendency to always need more information, or you research or survey all of your friends looking for that feeling of certainty, for sure, this is going to be the right answer. If you feel like you have to know all the steps before you can even take one step, or if you already know what you need to do, but you can't do it, I'm going to help you understand today why you're hesitating. And then I'm going to give you really concrete, easy to implement tips to help you move past this, to get out of essentially what is a freeze response. Indecision is a freeze response from our nervous system. And so we're going to break that down today. What's triggering this response? And then how do I get my brain to get me out of it so I can move forward? Ultimately, what's going on, and that's what we're going to dig into today, is that you think you're trying to make the right decision, but you're just trying to make a decision that feels safe enough for your nervous system to get you out of that freeze response. Let's dive in. Okay, so your nervous system is triggered by your thoughts from socialization in whatever marginalized identities that you live in. So brains in general, they hate change, even good change, even the best change. Even when we know it's really going to be the right decision, our brains think of any change as a threat to our ability to exist in the world. We are in mortal peril. It's the same adrenaline and cortisol that's triggered when you need to run from a lion, like actual mortal peril, and making the wrong decision. So what happens is whatever's going on, it triggers our nervous system, and we have thoughts like, I don't know what to do, or I just need more time, or I want to be sure. And so our brain, trying to keep us safe, will jump in with, it's not that bad. Other people have it worse. I should be able to handle this. What if I regret it? Your brain starts offering you all of these things like, we definitely don't want to do any change. And this is when it's really ambiguous, but it could be something like, I have this offer to work with my old boss who I really, really like for more money and all these great things, and I'm still hesitating, even when we can look at it all and think, oh, yes, this would definitely be a better situation than the one that I'm in right now. I've got a lot of guarantees about it. It's a more certain, probably going to be the right choice. But we end up still questioning that and wondering because our brain feeds us this adrenaline and cortisol that make us feel unsafe in making the decision. So you will have emotions that will stem from these thoughts. It's not the decision that's actually causing the anxiety and the feeling. It's the thought that we have about the situation. What if I regret it will trigger fear. I should be able to handle this will trigger some kind of anxiety. I should be grateful for this job will trigger a feeling of shame. And we're going to get into the most common feelings that come up in just a second. But a lot of this is stemming from our socialization. So we're not socialized, particularly for people socialized as women, to look inward for the answer of, am I doing this right? Am I worthy? Am I making the right decision? We tend to go and look for that answer outside of ourselves. We'll do research, we'll survey all of our friends and family. And so what's happening is we're trying to collect enough information to make us feel certain instead of just being like, no matter what happens, I will have my own back. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit too. So another part of it is, and I see this a lot in tech, it's certainly a feeling that I had of like, I don't want to be weak. I don't want to have this burn me out. I don't want to be perceived as not being able to handle it. And so I'll just keep sucking it up and pushing my feelings down and pushing myself beyond rather than stopping and taking care of. Another thing that comes up a lot is we feel like we're being selfish. That if we aren't grateful for the role that we have, or that if some people will be inconvenienced by our departure, then we're being selfish. I stayed at a job for an extra 4 years. Because I really felt like the people there needed me. And I can make a case that that's actually true, but ultimately, I wasn't worth sacrificing my own happiness for. I could have moved on and had a different experience. And the last one is feeling responsible for other people's comfort. So, how is me leaving going to impact other people? Am I going to like the new people? Are they going to like me? All of these things come up when we're thinking about it. And so, what happens? Well, we have predictable responses. We go into a fight response where we beat ourselves up. I'm a failure. I blame myself for how I'm feeling about this. Or I go into a flight response where I deny the problem. It's fine. It'll get better. I told myself so many times, it'll be better after this quarter or after this big project or after this rollout. Then it will get better. But my happiness always was lying somewhere in the future. It was never in the present. Or you'll go into perfectionist overdrive trying to fix it. You're like, if I just work harder, if I just do this, if I just do that, the problem is all me. It's nothing external. And so if I work harder, I can fix it. Or we get paralyzed with overwhelm and we end up doing nothing. And finally, the last nervous system response, the fawn response, is we people please and we prioritize other people, even just their perceived comfort over our own comfort. All right. So, what are the feelings that we're dealing with? Let's break them down. What's going on that we have to name and understand what's causing it so we can decide if we like those reasons. So we have a fear of making the wrong decision. We'll go into self-doubt and we'll doubt our assessment of our situation and doubt our ability to change it. Or we go into confusion. Is it just me? Am I doing it wrong? We'll almost gaslight our own instincts about the situation. We'll have anxiety around things being unsettled and staying in limbo. Like that anxiety is so exhausting. And then we'll feel some sort of shame of not being able to figure out what we want to do and shame around staying in that limbo of not deciding. That's a lot of feelings about this thing. It makes total sense that we would run into not being able to make this decision. Okay, so but here's what's really going on. Of course, we stay longer than we want to if we're having all these feelings. Of course, we gather more data instead of deciding because we think that the information of am I making the right decision lies outside of us. Of course, we minimize what's not working. Well, it'll get better. It's fine. They didn't mean it. Whatever's going on. Of course, you tell yourself it's not really that bad. And of course, you seek consensus rather than just making a decision. All right, now we're to the point. What do we do about it? So, at its base, and I always want to emphasize this when we're talking about these kind of decisions, is ultimately a job is just an exchange of your time for their money. You're not paid to care. You're not paid to take care of your colleagues. And having felt this responsibility that's kept me in roles much longer, I can tell you now that the people that I stayed all those extra years for 20 years ago, I'm not on their mind every day. But the 4 years of my life in this rough situation, and of course, I can look at it now with a more nuanced view of like, look at all of the things that I learned by being in this tough situation and how that prepared me for the rest of my career, for sure. But the reasons that I stayed weren't the reasons that I love now, and not the reasons I would recommend that anyone use now. Another thing I want you to think about when you're trying to interrupt this is your problem is not a lack of information. It's that your brain is constantly triggering your nervous system, and this is why you don't feel safe. More information is not going to make this decision for you. In fact, I will say that you've already made the decision and you're going out and trying to collect information to prove that to yourself ultimately that this is the right decision. You're trying to use information to create confidence and certainty, but it actually at some point more information just creates more confusion and it keeps you in this cycle. What we're afraid of, and this is so important. I talk about this all of the time in my workshops. I talk about the oulda triplets: shoulda, coulda, and woulda. If only I would have done this, I could have done more. If only I would have blah, 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 right? We're trying to make a decision now to avoid the oulda triplets and how bad they're going to make us feel in the future. We think if I make the wrong choice and I'm sitting in this new role and I think it wasn't the right choice, how bad I'm going to feel. But how bad you're going to feel is because you've invited in the oulda triplets to create shame. So, if you can find a way, and this is something, if you want help with it, spend more time in my universe. I talk about different ways to do this all of the time. But what we want to do is have our own back. We agree now not to invite in the oulda triplets. We're already going to have a primary negative emotion. We're going to feel disappointed. We're going to feel sad. We're going to feel regret. We're going to feel embarrassed. We're going to feel something. But that primary emotion is actually not the one that we're trying to avoid. We're really, really, really trying to avoid that feeling of shame. And if we can agree to have our own backs, no matter what, to not should, could, and would on ourselves, then we can make decisions faster and take more risks because the downside is so much less. The kind of last little piece that I want to have in how to interrupt this is there is no right and wrong decision. There's no right, there's no wrong, there's no good, there's no bad. There's whatever you decide it to be. And so you can spend a whole bunch of time trying to make the right decision, which essentially just means you're trying to avoid the oulda triplets creating shame, except that you can uninvite the oulda triplets to the party. But the reason, sorry, I lost my place just for a second, but there is no right, there is no wrong. We can try to make the right decision and we can end up being really indecisive and not moving forward, or we can just make the decision that we made right. Okay. And then I want to give you a couple thought work tips to try. If nothing were going to change for the next year, pick a time frame. Would I reapply for this job today? It's something to just throw out there and decide. This can make your decision much more clear because you're thinking, would I redecide this today if I had the choice? Would I want to do this? That's one that'll help you. Another is when your brain starts offering you the self-doubting thoughts because it's afraid of change, it's triggering your nervous system. You can just tell yourself, this is the part where my brain tells me to stay. This is the part where my brain freaks out and says no. And then some that will really help you get through the process is I don't know every step, but I know the next step and I trust myself to figure it out. Or this is hard and I can do hard things. So, and if you're listening to this and you're thinking, yes, this is exactly me. I am this indecisive. I'm the one who's having a hard time deciding whether it's time to move on. And you're tired of going in circles. This is the work that I do with my clients. So I can teach you how to have your own back. I can teach you how to stop creating shame on top of the disappointment, sadness, frustration, whatever it is that you're feeling. And that will free up so much energy for you. And then you can take that energy, and I'm going to give you some time back too, because you'll find that once you can start making decisions faster, you can make more progress. You can move through the things that aren't going to work much faster with much less drama. And the way that I like to describe mindset work and thought work is it's energy plus time equals capacity. So I'm going to get you energy back by not spinning in all of this all of the time. I will get you time back by helping you make decisions faster and move forward and learn more. And then you have capacity. And the capacity is for you to take bigger risks. I will teach you how to fail, and just move on. So, if you want support with that, schedule a free career strategy session with me, and I would love to talk to you.